Mr. Lesham is here. How are you all doing? And today we're going to look at finding minimum and maximum value of quadratic expression. And what we're really going to do is find the reason why last time we learned how to complete the square. So what is completing the square business? We start from this quadratic expression, ax squared plus bx plus c, and we learned how to turn it into something like this. Some kind of number a times brackets x plus b squared plus a certain number q. Okay, we're going to see why we're doing it. And let's start with a very, very simple expression, probably the most simple quadratic expression, x squared. And let's just try and find the value of this x squared when I put different x's in. So I'm taking you back really to probably grade 8. Okay? Let's choose -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So I'm choosing 5 different values of x. And let's calculate x squared. If I put x equal -2, what is the square of -2? Okay, -2 square is 4. Right? And you see it? What about -1? So I'm going to get rid of that. Let's just write 4. When x is -1, what is x squared? 1. When x is 0? 0. When x is 1?
Is 1.
1. Okay, so 1 squared is still 1. And when x is 2 is? 4. Okay. Now, obviously, if I carried on, -3, I'll get 9. +3, I'll get 9. We notice that, okay, let's put it this way. Is there a maximum for this quadratic expression? Is there a maximum? Is there a certain value that you're never going to get higher than this?
No.
No. As I increase x, I'm going to get higher and higher numbers. But is there a minimum?
Yes.
There is a minimum. What is the minimum? What was the smallest number that you can get x squared to be equal to?
0.
0. Okay? So, this is your minimum. Minimum, okay? Minimum value, right, minimum value equal 0. What does x have to be to give you the minimum value? What is the x value?
0.
0, okay? So, I just want to say it the same way. So, I'll write it when x equals 0. That's how I'm going to write it. Okay, it's kind of obvious, right? Now let's do the same thing. Okay, I'm going to write that. So the minimum value of x squared is equal 0, and that happens when x equals to 0. Let's do the same thing for minus x squared. Okay, so I'm going to have x and minus x squared. This is a different quadratic expression. Okay, well, I just timed it by -1. Let's do the same thing. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Okay? Eventually, hopefully, I don't have to do this, but in the beginning, we do that. Okay. So, what will be -2 squared? Okay, -2 squared. How much is that?
-4.
-4.
-4. -1 squared.
-1.
So
0. 1. -1.
Yeah? -1 squared is -1, and this one?
-4.
-4. Okay. All right. So this expression, -x squared, does it have a minimum or a maximum now?
Minimum.
Maximum.
It has a maximum. See, as I carry on with 3 and -3 and 4 and -4, the numbers will get smaller and smaller and smaller, right? The next number will be -9, right? When x equals 3, the next one will be -9. -3 will also give you -9. So the numbers are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay, if numbers are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, that means that there is no minimum, but there is a maximum. Okay, what is the maximum value now?
0.
Maximum value is again 0. It's a maximum, it's not a minimum. And for which x does that happen?
0.
We happy with that? I'm just going to pause here. Okay, we're going to carry on. And maybe now I'm going to try not to draw this table. Let's see. Let's say I have x squared plus 2. let's ask you first of all, does it gonna have a maximum or a minimum value? It's gonna be a minimum value. Can you see it, or should I draw this table? Let's draw the table. Let's just do one more time. Okay. So I've got x, and now I'm drawing x squared plus 2. Okay. Let's just do same. Minus 1, 0, 1, and 2. If I put minus 2 squared plus 2, what will I get? Well, I had 4 plus 2, that will be 6, right? Okay, I'm just putting minus 2 squared is 4 plus 2 is 6. Minus 1 squared plus 2 is going to be 3, I think. Yeah. I'm just adding, I'm really adding 2 to each one of these numbers, right? This one is going to be 2. And then this one is going to be 3, and this one is going to be 6. Okay. So what do I have here? I'll write it down here. Is it a maximum or a minimum?
Minimum.
It's going to be a minimum. Okay. So minimum value, what will be the minimum value?
2.
It's 2. Okay. Really, when we learned about function, we called this a vertical shift. Remember, vertical shift moves it up. Okay. These are actually parabolas. Okay. Anyway. All right. Minimum value is 2. For which x does that happen?
0.
Okay, I'm just going to pause and make some space here. Now we're moving on to another quadratic expression. So it has a minus before the x squared and a minus 4. Let's try and really do it now without the table. Okay? First of all, the fact that we've got a minus here, that should be able by now to know if it's a maximum or minimum. Let's just look at all the ones we had here. When we had a positive before the x squared, that means we had the minimum. When we had the negative, it was a maximum. When it was positive, it was minimum. So what do you reckon that will be?
Max.
It will be a maximum. Okay? It's going to be, let's do it anyway. Okay? A maximum value. What will be the maximum value?
0.
It will be negative 4. Okay? And let's try and understand that. Before we try and understand that, for which x will it be this value? When x is equal to what?
0.
That should be minus 4. Okay? Absolutely. Okay? So what's happening here? Let's try and think about what we've done here. X squared, because I've got square, is always a positive number, right? Okay? X squared is positive, x squared is a positive, x squared is a positive. So it's never going to be negative. But the smallest it can be, what the smallest can be x squared?
0.
0. Okay? So that's why the minimum here is 0. Now, why is it maximum when I have that negative number? Because x squared is always positive. That means minus x squared is always negative. So if it's always negative, okay, that means we have a maximum here. What is the maximum here when x is equal 0? So this whole thing, the value is 0 is the maximum. Okay? The same thing here, right? Because this is always positive, the lowest it can be is x equal, when x is 0, this whole thing is 0. Now, because I have plus 2, the minimum value is going to be plus 2. If you're happy with that. Oh, yeah. Is it working? Yes, I think it was. So far, all these kind of expression we've looked at last year when we drew these parabolas, okay? But now we're going to have something a little bit different. So let's go with that. X minus 1 squared. So it's not x squared, x minus 1 squared. First of all, from what we've learned now, will it have a minimum or a maximum, do you reckon?
Minimum.
It's going to have a minimum because I don't have a negative. It's positive on this side, like here, it's going to have a minimum. Yeah? Because all of this is positive, right? But the smallest it can be, what is the smallest that this can be?
1.
What's the
Minus
smallest?
one.
It still can be, I mean, the smallest that this could be is 0, right? 0 squared is 0. So the smallest that this could be still 0. The minimum value is still going to be 0. Minimum value equals 0. But what should x be equal to give 0?
1.
1.
When x equal 1, 1 minus 1 square is 0. Okay? Later, when we learn about function, we said there is a horizontal shift. Everything's moved to the right. This is the same as that. It's just now the x was 0 to give the minimum value. It's the same minimum value, but now it's when x is 1. Okay? Let's do one more example, then I'll take a question. Let's say I have x minus 2 squared. Okay? What will be the, okay, first of all, minimum or maximum?
Minimum.
It's still a minimum value. What will be the minimum value?
0.
0. Okay? This thing, think about it. This is a positive number. The lowest that it can be is 0. Okay? For which x will it be?
2.
X equal 2. I'll just pause. There was a question. Anything else? Great. Okay, so now, okay, let's do one more. That's going to be a bit confusing. What about x plus 1 squared? Okay, all right.
Minimum.
First, it is still a minimum because I don't have a negative here. Minimum value
0.
is equal to 0. For which x is it going to be?
Minus 1.
Minus 1. So now I have a horizontal shift, we'll call it later on, to the left. Okay, that seems to be alright. You're still fine with that. Let's do one more. Okay, let's take that one, x minus 1 squared, but now we slap minus here. So what do we have now? Minimum or maximum?
Max.
Max. Why? Because this whole thing is positive. But now with the minus, this whole thing is negative. Okay? So what's the highest that a negative number could be? 0. Okay? So the maximum value still equal to 0. For which x is it going to be? 1. Seems like you're getting it. Okay, let me just pause here. So let's do another one. X plus 2, put a minus squared. Okay, remembering this is always positive. That means with the minus is always negative. That means we're going to have a maximum or minimum.
Max.
There will be a maximum value which is equal to 0. And that happens when x equal -2. This is not difficult for you. Okay, now we're moving to the last, most general cases. Most general case. Okay, now, yeah. Let's do like this. Actually, let's put it this way. If I had -2 here, or let's do another number, -3. Is it going to affect anything here? No. It's still -2. So what I'm saying is, this is still negative. This whole thing is negative. Therefore, there will be a maximum value. The maximum value is going to happen when x is -2, because then it becomes 0, and 0 squared is 0, and 0 to -3 is -3. So we still have the same answer. Okay, it's still going to have a maximum value, which is equal to 0, and it happens at x -2. No? I'll just pause. There's some question mark. Let's do something else now. So let's say we'll put 2x plus 4 squared plus 3. Okay. Right, first of all, maximum or minimum? It's minimum. Because this is positive here, okay, this is always going to be positive number. Okay? So it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. As I get x, it will get bigger and bigger and bigger, but that means there is a minimum. Right. Minimum value. I'm not going to write what the minimum value is there yet. For which x is it going to be minimum? When is the minimum going to be? When x equal to Negative 4, because when that's negative 4, this thing is 0. Okay, what is the minimum value now? Say how much?
Minus 3.
Minus 3? Plus 3. Okay? When x equal minus 4 plus 4 is 0, so 0 squared is 0. All this is 0. Plus 3. So the minimum value now moved up. All my minimum value were zeros here because I didn't have plus something. Now it's moved up. I'll pause. So let's go with, I don't know, what do you want the same thing but just instead of minus 3? Okay. So 2x plus 4 squared minus 3. Okay. First of all, minimum or maximum? Still minimum value. Okay. X equal negative 4. And what will be the minimum value? Minus 3. Yeah, because when that's when that's minus 4, this is 0, this is 0, I'll end up with minus 3. Another way of thinking about it, look, this whole thing, the square, that means it's always positive. The lowest it can be is 0. So this whole thing, the lowest it can be is 0. So 0 minus 3 is minus 3. Okay, let's do one last one, and then you're ready on you're ready. So let's just put some minuses. Okay, so minus 5 x plus 2 square, I don't know what, plus 1. Okay, what would that be?
Maximum.
Okay, so it will be a maximum because this whole thing is negative. Okay, and that maximum value will be, let's try straight away, I heard the right answer. 1. When this is 0, that will be 1. And x must be equal? Negative 2. And now, guys, I'm ready to tell you why we actually done that. Okay? Why have we done that? Okay? If I have, I don't know what. Let's take this one. Okay? Earlier, Finn, you asked me to do that. Minus 5x squared plus 10x plus 2. If I give you this quadratic expression, can you tell me if it has a minimum or maximum? In fact, you can tell me it's a minimum or maximum. From last year, you remember that because it's negative, it's a sad face, you can tell me it's the maximum. But there's no way for you to tell me what is the maximum value, and there's no way you can tell me for which x it is. But now we learn how to complete the square. So I'm just skipping all these stages. We found out that this thing is equal to minus 5x minus 1 squared plus 7. Okay, now you can tell me, eh? Hey, so we have a maximum value of what? What is the maximum value? 7. And when does that happen? When x equal?
1.
How cool is that?
Wow.
Fantastic, okay? So that's why we learn how to complete the square. That's so cool. All right, I'll end up here. We're going to practice it now.
Wow.